Welcome to the Real Arizona Update. My name is Nick Acosta. I'm a mortgage lender out here in Gilbert, Arizona. We are actually in our branch hosting this Real Arizona Update, and I have with me my colleague, Melanie Lakovich. Welcome, Melanie.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today.
Yeah. So Melanie's a realtor at HomeSmart. We've worked together for, maybe a little bit over the last two and a half years. Both, we really like to give out information and give as much education and knowledge out to the general public as possible. If you are anywhere near real estate, you know that things are a little chaotic and crazy. So now is the best time to give information and be transparent and give out that stuff to you. So wanted to introduce myself. So I've been in the mortgage business for a little bit, just about a little over 10 years. I started in processing in operations and then moved over to the sales side or the front end side. And I've been a loan officer for a little over 2 years. So I've learned a ton in that time period. I've been with Loan Depot for just about 9 years in June. So it's been quite a ride, and these last couple of years have definitely grown a lot of us, especially these last 12 months. But with that, I'll kick it over to Melanie, give her a little backstory, and then we'll dive into things.
So when I was a new real estate agent, I met Nick. He came and you brought sandwiches, so that it won me over. And I just noticed today that my logo's in purple and Loan Depot's logo's in purple. So I was like, okay, it's a perfect match. It's a perfect match. So I actually have only been a real estate agent for just under 3 years. For the 30 years, which I used to tell people 25, because I didn't want to seem super old.
Don't age yourself.
I didn't want to age myself. But it's actually, I think it was 31 if you count some stuff I did on the side in school.
Okay.
For 30 years, I was in civil design, which means development, land development, designing really exciting things like sewer, water, roadways. I think it's fun. It was a great time and I loved it, but I can't go back. I love real estate. I love helping my clients get a good deal or a nice home, whatever they need, where are they at? We have investor clients, we have homeowner clients, we have new buyers, we have buyers that own 15 homes, we have the range of people, and that's what I enjoy doing.
So what drove you into real estate? So that's a big, not a crazy switch, but what drove you from development to getting in the streets and selling homes?
Well, my neighbor, our good friend who you also work with, Tiffany Pettit, I was over at her house and she said, I'm starting a real estate team and you should join it, Melanie. And I said, oh, Tiffany, this engineering thing, this is working out just fine. 2 months later, my daughter called me and said, I'm going to buy a house a year for the next 12 years and then I'm going to retire. So she became a real estate investor. And she's done quite well with that. They're on their their sixth purchase. And they've used Nick. They love Nick. And so when that happened, I said, well, I'll just get my license. We'll do it on the side. COVID happened. I didn't have the drive to work, so got my license in a month and a half. And in a month and a half later, I had 5 things under contract, which I didn't know, but everyone was like, that is a lot.
It's really good.
That's a lot of homes.
A month and a half, right?
And it's a different line of work.
Yeah.
It is emotionally challenging.
Yeah.
But with anything that's very challenging, it's very rewarding. I suppose it's like runners and weightlifters. Obviously, lifting weights is not easy. Running's not easy. But when you put in the work and you get to the finish line, it's very rewarding, and I just love seeing my clients in the houses and homes and land that they want.
So 2 things on that. So I also agree. It's the business that we're in sales in general is very, very challenging. I think about it as like an athlete. Like you work towards something that is so long away that you just every day is a new challenge, and you have ups and you have downs, and you just kind of fight through those, and you're working towards the ultimate goal. The other thing I was going to say is you and I think why we work so well is we both started in COVID. I've been in the business for a long time, but I started my sales career in COVID, and we saw highs of highs, and then the last 12 months we've seen lows of lows. So I think that the newer people in the business, I think, really have a different perspective on the market and where things have been and where things have gone over the last 2 or 3 years. So I feel like you and I are on that same wavelength because we're pretty new to the business in that sense.
And you pointed out something that's, I think, what keeps me challenged is that this is a market that changes every day. So it's not like a job that you go to and it's the same every day. It changes and there's new challenges. But I've also found for my clients and probably your clients as well, that there's an advantage to each market, right? In the market we're in now, we have the interest rates are a little lower. I'm a member of Valley Real Estate Professionals. I was on the team call, and Charles, my the team lead for that, he was mentioning to a client, look, you can get this house for $50,000 less than you could last year. He said, if you never refinanced in the next 5 years, you're still going to be ahead money-wise.
Right.
So that is what I think one of the goals of this podcast or channel is to point out where the market is now and how you can use that to your advantage, because there's advantages to 3% interest rates.
For sure.
But there's advantages to 7.5% interest rates.
Absolutely.
You cannot just look at it like, oh, the interest rates are too high, I'm not buying.
Right.
You have to look at it like, what can this do for me?
Exactly.
And with good people by your side to give you options, you can use that to your advantage.
For sure. Yeah. And yeah, obviously lower interest rates makes a whole lot of people eligible to qualify, because the lower your interest rate is, the lower your payment is, which then opens up your purchase power. But to your point, if you have a higher interest rate and that you still qualify for that, or you're finding a way to qualify, there's, even with the amount of limited inventory we have out there, there are options where you can go at a lower price. You can get concessions, which means the seller is paying for your closing costs. You can get repairs done on a home. It's not just you're going up against 10 other people and you're hoping that you're going to win the deal on the basis of your minimum offer. So
that's a really good point, because in the last 3 months, I have had a lot of clients that didn't have $20,000 to $50,000 in the bank to offer over list price and compete with 10 other buyers. They've had minimal down. We've gotten them concessions.
Yeah.
So even though definitely affordability has priced some people out of the market, it is entered in people that don't have an excessive savings and to get their offer added. And we're getting concessions and repairs.
Well, and the biggest thing too, and especially on our side, because there's so much that goes into qualifying a buyer. Down payment, credit, income, so much different things. One interesting fact that we heard a couple weeks ago on a market update that we follow: every 1% interest rate drops, 5 million buyers become eligible. 5 million additional buyers, 1%. So right now, and we're kind of getting a little bit ahead of the curve, but those are just facts and stuff that we want to give out to the public. So one of the reasons why we wanted to do this is because there's a lot of people that watch the media. There's a lot of people that watch YouTube channels, which we're hoping that you watch this YouTube channel. But YouTube channels, or the media, they're providing news and updates on the basis of they want you to watch their stuff.
That's their top importance.
Exactly. They want you to see a headline and be super intrigued, whether it's good, bad. Most of the time it's bad, and they have a negative twist on things, especially in YouTube, because anybody just like us can create a YouTube channel, take a headline and twist it so that it sounds like doom and gloom, when that's not really the true case. So why we name this podcast and YouTube channel as The Real Arizona Report, we want to give unbiased information on where we stand right now.
Good or bad?
Both Melanie and I track, a ton of different things that follow the market, whether it's economically, whether it's housing, and we want to just be able to give that information so that people can have another source instead of just watching the media or watching these doom and gloom YouTube shows, so that they have an accurate reading on what what is really going on in the market. So that's a little bit of the why of why we wanted to do this, is just to give out, again, information to the general public, buyers, other real estate agents, other industry professionals, and give them the real update of what is happening, so that strikes up conversation. People are then going to start asking questions like, okay, well, I see interest rates are at 7%. But like you said, people are able to get their closing costs covered. If I have the minimum down payment that I need, I could essentially get in this house with just that. And we've seen that in multiple examples. So we're going to be trying to do this maybe. We're going to start with, once a week, and then we'll see how it goes. But that's kind of the reason why we wanted to create this and get together. And I really credit Melanie, because she's the one that came to me with this. I've wanted to do this for a long time, and it's hard to jump out it on your own. One of the things why I like the long form, video or podcast is, everyone is so concentrated on Instagram or TikTok or Facebook, and it's just short form video is only. It only gives you so much, and you can't really get your full point across in that scenario. So I think this is a great way for us to grow as professionals, and hopefully, like I said, provide that information out to you guys, and just open the conversation for everybody.
So are we promising no clickbait, or will we give them quick clickbait, but we're going to give the real story behind it?
Yeah, maybe. Well, yeah, we can't not promise that there won't be clickbait, because we do want you to watch this. So.
We got to get somebody to watch.
Yeah.
We'll have two people. But definitely, if there's some question you have in the real estate market, please put it down in the comments, and we'll add it. And speaking of future, we already have a lot of topics that we've been brainstorming that we want to cover, such as points. We have Tracy Greenhow from Pioneer Title is going to join us and talk about real estate scams. So we have a lot of guests, because it's not like we know everything.
Yeah.
So we're going to reach out to those people. My attorney, Nat, he's going to come in and tell us about taking title in different ways, leaving your real estate to your children or your family or maybe somebody else,
right,
and how that works. We'll talk about interesting stuff like squatters' rights, aka adverse possessions. It exists, it's for real. And underwriting. Underwriting just sounds like this nebulous thing out there. So we're going to rip the cover off. I actually have a very good friend that's an underwriter, and she works for Loan Depot. So maybe we can get her in.
That'd be good. Yeah, underwriting it's such a faux pas. We're submitting your loan to underwriting, but what does that really mean? There's a loan officer who I am, and then there's a processor, an underwriter, there's a closer. There's a long list of people that are involved in the loan and the transactions besides Melanie and I. So again, we want to be transparent, let you know what's going on in the process, and keep you informed.
So who should watch this? Somebody that's looking to buy a house?
Somebody looking to buy a house who owns a home, investors. I mean, again, we're both very well rounded, where you don't work with just first time home buyers. You work with land. You're a huge land producer.
It's getting out there. I have too much land.
Yeah. We work with investors. We work with tons of different people. So this is for future homeowners, current homeowners. If you're a real estate agent and you're just looking for a source for information that's easy to you, this is where you want to land.